Hello there, everyone. Just a very quick little chat about sections 3.7 and then 3.8. 3.7 continues with this idea of, debugging, figuring out problems with your code. And so it will, again, just step you through, different examples of maybe where errors come up and then how you might solve that error if this does appear. And so, you're just busy trying to debug programs, okay? So it just sort of sets you through, gives you some idea of what you might be able to use for this sort of watching thing and so on. So different ways of helping you understand what's going on and therefore being able to figure out those issues, right? And I think in the notes here, teams there, they talk a little bit about, I talk a little bit about my experience there in terms of, just solving problems makes you really understand what's going on and being able to help other people as well, right? So, there's a little question, what would you do to try to solve a typical problem? And usually it's, you think of the possible causes and then through trial and error, you solve it. And then you get better and better because then just, like a doctor or anything, right? You sort of become a better you increase your ability to determine what the problem is and then be able to solve it. So it just takes time. The first time you do it, it takes longer and then you get better and better at it. And like I said, as a teacher, I've seen lots of problems and that's really helped me understand it. So I usually can zero in on the error pretty quickly. But that's just from experience, right? And you just have to give yourself experience there. So again, just sort of doing what you would do to try to find bugs and fix them, right? And then of course, I think I mentioned in class that this process is ongoing. It doesn't happen to just beginner coders. It happens to all coders, and there's always bugs in software, basically. It's always a matter of, squashing them, finding them, squashing them, getting rid of them, and then sort of hoping everything works. So these are just some debugging strategies. You can look through them. Again, it is a lot of just you working through it, okay? But it's, talking about how you could, keep your code clean, run your code, check it often. Don't wait till you're at the very end before you test your code. Ask other people for help, okay? The documentation is there, and you get better and better at understanding what documentation is. It looks a little bit, this isn't too bad, but some documentation is a little bit hard to understand at the start, but you begin to get more comfortable with it. And the whole idea there of putting in comments is also very important, okay? Having said that, that's just sort of a lead up to continuing on with 3.8. And this is where you're actually going to do the programming of your app. So you've did all the design, hopefully, and now you're going on to do more. Like I said, the lesson discusses the idea of pair programming, where you're sort of working together. One is the driver, one is the navigator, and then you're sort of, working off each other and then sort of switching roles. But, that's maybe not possible here, so just keep that in mind. But just so you know this concept of it. Swapping every 3 minutes sounds a little fast to me, but you could sort of work back and forth and sort of one take the lead and one sort of look over the shoulder kind of thing. Okay. Now, of course, if you don't have anybody to work with, I know with at least one class I mentioned about getting a rubber duck, a very cheap, like low maintenance. They don't require much food, but high reward. They will help you out. And the big idea here, I know it sounds kind of funny. There is a website to go to. But when you have to ask somebody a question, you start to look at things a different way. And that's an important part, is being able to sort of stand back a bit, from a different perspective, and then look at your code in a different light. And oftentimes those errors will pop out at you. They'll say, oh, that's it, right? So if you have to, you're having trouble, pretend I'm standing behind you. I know it's scary. Talk to me and say, hey, Mr. Fleming, I don't understand this because this seems to be doing this. I've done this here. Oh, now I see my error. That often happens. I don't have to say a thing. Okay, so you can get a life-size poster of Mr. Fleming and put it behind you, or probably a better idea, a rubber ducky, or anything you've got lying around. Okay, and you can just ask them a question. So that's it. If you're sort of looking in code.org here, hopefully this isn't too slow. My internet seems to be slow here at home. Click on this guy, And you can see it's not much here. I mean, it's just sort of the overview. And then there is, right, there is going into your programming. Oh, that's the video, sorry. And then going into your programming, it should be linked from what you did before. So I don't have anything here, but your app should be there, and you can sort of start putting things in there. So that matches up with step 5 in your planning guide. Okay, and that document is just continuing from before. Good. So good luck with that.